Welcome to the course of service transition, one of the course of service lifecycle modules of ITIL version 3. Service transition is the processes within service transition phase directly contributes to building and maintaining a controlled environment for transitioning new service or changes to existing services into the live environment. Service transition bears the responsibility for the operation of these processes, many of which iteratively applies their task and works steps as changes transition from design to operation. Service transition is also a lending library of sorts, offering its processes, techniques to other lifecycle phases to assist in the transition planning, newly minted live operations, and projected and achieved value evaluations. The key processes in service transition uh, are transition planning and support, change management, service asset and configuration management, release and deployment management, service validation and testing, evaluation and knowledge management. The goal of service transition includes assisting the organization in planning and managing the service changes in terms of resources and capabilities, deploying service release into production environment with required release planning, building, and testing. Now, this is done by applying necessary rigors, providing and managing knowledge and information, and by reducing the risk. Also, managing integration of business and infrastructure changes by meeting the business requirement, managing the expectation of those changes, and reducing the variability of those changes. Service transition serves as a conduit through which the output of service design moves into real life world of production and service operations. While guiding a change into service through a step-by-step implementation, service transition additionally addresses the context in which the change is made. This actively ensures that the users are motivated to use the new service and IT knows how to support it, and the business will be able to evaluate its promises to create value. Service transition provides the necessary framework to transition new service into operation as well as the modification of existing services to effort correction, improvement, and provision of service requests, and addresses all types of changes and transitions that an IT service faces, including introduction of new services, changing existing services, and discontinuing service changes. Now, this includes upsizing, downsizing, mergers, and acquisitions as well. Service transition encompasses all ITIL processes as it is responsible for the transition within these processes, either as a part of a new or change service or as a part of building change to service management process themselves. Service transitions, internal knowledge, internal processes of change management, service asset and configuration management, and knowledge management support transitions initiative within any of the life cycle stages. The key processes in service transition are transition planning and support, in which we plan and coordinate the resources to move a new or change service into production within the predicted cost, quality, and time estimate. Change management, which responds to the customer's changing business requirement while maximizing value and reducing uh, incidents and disruptions and rework. Service asset and configuration management, which identifies, control, records, and reports audits and verifies service asset and configuration item and protects the integrity of the assets and configuration required to control the service and IT infrastructure. Release and deployment management provides process, systems, and functions to package, build, test, and deploy a release into production and to establish the service specified in the service design package. And within the context of the plan developed within service planning and support, service validation and testing validates and executes tests to provide objective evidences that the new or change service will support the customer's business or stakeholders' requirement. Evaluation talks about determines the performance of the service change in context of existing and proposed service and IT infrastructure. And knowledge management delivers the right information to appropriate places or competent person at the right time to enable informed decision. Inputs to service transition are all the stages in service lifecycle delivers input to transition. Service design provides the triggers that initiate work elements with service transition. Service operation provides input for testing and service acceptance, and service strategy input from service strategy influences approach and structure and constraint applicable to service transition. Whereas CSI talks more of input in terms of suggested improvements. Output would be the plans, customer and user community, which includes service release package and associated deployment packages, documentation for a transferred or a decommissioned service, updated contract portfolio, service portfolio and service catalog, and updated service package or service bundles. Whereas output to CSI, the continuous service improvement phase, which are suggestions and observations on changes required to improve the processes and services. Value to the business is the successful deployment of service transition process improves the service provider's ability to handle high volume changes and releases across the customer base. This in turn enables the service provider to align a new service or change service with the business requirement and operations to ensure that customers and users can use it in a way that maximizes value to business operations. Challenges the service transition phase of the life cycle faces a number of challenges. In particular, in today's IT, it's so embedded in the business process that it has become the central to large number of stakeholders. It must perform as a business enabler, and as a result, it must also deal with all the contracts, interfaces, and relationship in multi-vendor service provider environment. In order to perform it at its optimum, the IT organization must address the lack of process integration and organizational staff discipline in policy and process compliance. This goes hand in hand with ensuring that everyone knows and understand their roles and responsibilities with service transitioning processes and extends to understanding the perspective of all stakeholders in service transition. Now, service transition requires the establishment of a culture of collaboration in terms of business, internal and external service provider that enables the IT organization to balance the stability of the service provided with the responsiveness of that business demand. It is often very difficult to retrofit quality of service into poorly designed or implemented service, and it requires time to incrementally improve the service until it achieves the required standard performance and measures.